Now, this has just been really difficult to report on. A powerful new report has been formally presented this morning to the Israeli First Lady Michal Herzog, and it may be the clearest proof yet that Hamas used sexual violence as a weapon of war on October 7th. It's called the Dina Project report, and it was compiled over the course of a year and a half by 3 senior Israeli legal experts. And what they lay out is absolutely staggering. Detailed evidence that rape, mutilation, and sexual humiliation were not random acts, but a coordinated and deliberate method of terror that was used by Hamas on October 7th. And this is backed up by evidence, a lot of it. 27 first responders gave testimony. They described dozens of cases of sexual violence at 6 different locations, including the Nova Music Festival, Route 232, and the kibbutzim of Re'im, Nir Oz, and Kfar Aza. There are also morgue attendants at the IDF's Shura base who report about bodies with clear signs of rape, mutilation, and sexual staging, supported by forensic photos and documentation. And perhaps most chilling are videos, photographs, and intercepted communications which show victims being sexually humiliated and abused, in some cases while still alive. Now, this isn't just a collection of claims. This is evidence that was categorized based on source and proximity. It was built to stand up in court, even in cases where the victims can no longer speak for themselves. So what did they actually find? Well, women were found tied to trees or poles, partially or fully naked, raped or gang raped, mutilated, executed. One woman was found with her underwear shoved in her mouth and a gunshot wound to the head, and others were publicly violated or paraded, including children, their bodies used as tools of psychological warfare. In one case, a female corpse was raped in front of other victims, and the abuse continued after the hostages were dragged into Gaza. Among the 15 returned hostages who gave their testimony, the accounts are just horrifying. Almost all described forced nudity, sexual touching, verbal abuse, and threats of forced marriage, which the report classifies as rape under coercion. One woman was chained by the ankle and repeatedly assaulted. A teenage girl was sexually assaulted and told she would be married off to a fighter. And 2 male hostages said that they were stripped, beaten, and sexually humiliated, including forced shaving of intimate body hair, a known tactic that is essentially used to erase gender identity and dignity. Now, it is important to note that the victims were not named in this report, and that was intentional. Many were murdered. Others are still too traumatized to actually speak publicly. Some fear the lifelong stigma that often follows sexual violence, and their anonymity protects them in this case, but it certainly does not erase the crimes. So to overcome the lack of direct testimony, the Dina Project is now proposing a new model for prosecuting conflict-related sexual violence. This is one that includes eyewitnesses and ear witness accounts, including from people who heard women scream for help in real time. There are statements that were made immediately after the attacks, known legally as res gestae, and a wide range of forensic audio and visual evidence, which they say is enough to establish not just what happened, but that it was part of a larger plan. And the conclusion is inescapable here. This was not chaos. It was calculated, it was coordinated, and it was criminal. The report is now calling on the United Nations to officially blacklist Hamas for using sexual violence as a weapon of war, placing it alongside groups like ISIS and Boko Haram. And it's a message to the world. If we want to prevent these crimes in future conflicts, we have to hold perpetrators accountable now, even when the victims cannot testify for themselves. Natasha Kirchuk reporting for I-24 News.